Welcome to the Hilb Preserve. We're here today in Goulais Bay, and there's two ways to access the trail that'll take us to the wetland. We have a parking lot here, which leads to a trail to our boardwalk, which we'll take you on right now. And then the other way we can get there is by canoe. Come on, join me. My name is Peter, and I'm going to take you on a tour of one of LSWC's favorite preserves. The Sandhill Preserve is a fen. This fen is protected by the berm along the edge that you can see at the end of the boardwalk. And it's a place that is sheltered and watered. And it's a very rare habitat in the Lake Superior region. And it shelters and waters a quirky posse of plants and animals. Growing up on Lake Superior and having a camp in Goulais Bay, I was really fortunate enough as a little kid. I'd be running around in my bare feet, enjoying what Goulais Bay has to offer. But afterwards, when I worked for LSWC, kind of observing this fen in the last couple of years, I noticed a lot of similarities between my camp and the fen. And what I noticed is walking around in my bare feet as a kid and even as an adult, the ground's really soft and it holds a lot of moisture just like this fen does, and a lot of similar plants were growing. So I did a little bit of research, and a lot of this fen habitat actually existed along the shores of Goulais Bay. So as you look across, you can see that there's a lot of different you can see the flowers of the purple pitcher plant. They're looking kind of reddish. There's the yellow bladderworts. And then if you look very closely, you can even see some pink sundews. So these are all plants that fit in with this quirky posse of animals. All three of those plants that I mentioned, they're all carnivorous plants. So you probably never thought of plants that eat animals. They actually eat insects, so it would be more important or more specific to say that they're insectivores. But there's all this interesting biology that's going on right here in this fen. You can visit anytime, and it's something that, you know, this habitat stretched a long ways in this bay at one point. And so this is one of those places where we're really able to reinvigorate our sense of wonder and remind ourselves what kind of natural habitats existed in this area, what kind of diversity of plants really occurred in this area. And some of them are definitely quirky, and we get to check out their idiosyncrasies. So another thing that's awesome is actually getting dirty. In these times, in this day and age, people are, you know, washing their hands lots, and that's awesome, but it's also important, you know, sometimes to get your hand dirty. You know, you can feel what's actually in your environment. It holds moisture well for all of these plants. And there's a lot of plants that really crave this type of moisture. So we have cranberries that'll grow in this fen, right? We have swamp laurel, and we have wild rosemary, and also Labrador tea. So there's a lot of different, in the margins, there's a lot of different plants that will crave these water-rich environments. It's not just the carnivorous plants, and they're different foods, right? So you've probably had cranberry juice before, or rosemary as an herb on different plates. And this is a wild place where they still grow, right? They're not cultivated here. We don't fertilize them or anything like that, and they grow just fine. This berm to your right here is what helps protect the Hilb Fen, and it also serves as a filter. It's kind of like a spaghetti string. So it allows the water to sit through, when the water level is high, it'll flow into the bay. And when the water level in the fen is low, this water here will actually flow into the fen. And so that helps regulate the water level, and it keeps those plants that need water happy. You can see that there is a bit of a groundwater trickle here, so you can see it's flowing through the sand. The other thing that this berm does is it supports a lot of larger trees. So in the fen it's pretty flat looking. There's a lot of smaller trees. These trees, or smaller plants rather, these trees, there's cedar, there's birch, and they plant themselves on this berm, and their root systems protect this berm from eroding away. So if you look along the shore, you can see, come on close. So you can see how these roots here, a little bit of the soil has eroded away, but a lot of it's kept in place by this root system. If these trees weren't here, then this berm wouldn't exist, and we wouldn't have that filtering effect, right? So we wouldn't be able to keep the water from moving back and forth very rapidly. Yep. So those are some quirky crane creatures. You can hear them with their honking noise. They're right on the boardwalk. We see a lot of cranes and geese come in through this area in the spring and summer months. The cranes especially will sift through a lot of the wetland area, and with their pointy bills they're able to catch different insects. They'll glean different things from the wetland and the plants, and some days they'll even head out into the bay and try their luck at fishing. They'll catch little fish in there and aquatic insects, amphibians like frogs and toads. So here's a little minnow. I found him floating in the water here. They're a really interesting indicator species because they're bottom of the food chain, and a lot of other things like our crane friends and are gonna chomp on these guys for dinner. The Hilb Fen is a rare wetland habitat in our watershed that waters and shelters a quirky posse of plants and animals.